What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical interpretation of our market internals for the day. In the top left-hand corner, we have the volume read. What can we learn about today's activity there? You can see a nice curve to the upside, most importantly, reaching that 300 million to the positive side milestone that we're generally looking at for significant reads. So it strikes me as healthy, the amount of volume that was flowing into the market to support the hold of today's gap. We'll get into that in just a moment. Also, throughout the course of the day, our breadth readings in terms of the ratio were never negative, okay? So they were always positive on the day, and they did reach substantial reads at points in time in both the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, getting plus that 3 threshold. So anything greater than a 3-to-1, we classify as significant. If it's less than 3-to-1, it's still solid, and anything that starts with a 1-to-1, so 1 point whatever, is just fairly neutral. It's not telling us a whole lot about the strength of the marketplace. Today, we were definitely in that 3+ range in both exchanges. So volume, it was certainly there in the marketplace to support the hold of today's gap higher. Advanced decline line, what else can we learn about this? Certainly holding up in trend zone and working its way into trend zone higher throughout the course of the day. Here's a quick tip for you. Whenever you open on a gap up and we're opening in the advanced decline line close to this 1500 or greater, it's very hard for the market to fill that gap all the way. Now, don't get me wrong. We did get some gap fill activity, but if you were watching on an intraday basis, the market was moving begrudgingly to the downside, hardly wanting to make that move lower, and that's just because so much activity on the New York Stock Exchange was actually in the positive direction. That paired with volume should tell you a whole lot about the market, and then we can really drive it home with our tick. Where did the tick open? Clearly above that plus 1,000, which is generally an overbought read, so don't get me wrong. As that pulls back, that is an indication that maybe we get a little bit of corrective activity in the ES, but the fact that we were never able to crack under zero and then hold under zero is really the final nail in the coffin for the sellers on today's session. There's just absolutely nothing that was bearish about today's internals across the entire board, even as we get some of that inventory correction. That's basically a little bit of that overbought reading correcting, and then we stabilize. Notice that, yeah, as a matter of fact, there are zero candle bodies ever that even came down underneath that zero line, okay? So very, very bullish day across the entire market, at least the New York Stock Exchange, based on these internals. We should read into this rally as having true strength. It didn't happen, in terms of a thin marketplace with no underlying breadth to support. Obviously, it was the case that we hit that significant threshold. The readings were solid throughout the entire course of the day. Same thing with your advanced decline line moving higher as well, and the ticks incredibly strong, not registering anything under the zero line for a bar close or even a bar open. The cumulative build, I mean, clearly, 6,000, absolutely incredible stuff. Generally, what we're saying is that if you can reach 2,000 by 12 o'clock, that's a pretty strong indication of a trend day. And although this was not a trend day, it's a strong indication that across the entire New York Stock Exchange, the majority of things up until that lunchtime session were moving in the upward direction. So internals confirm the activity that we saw today. No major red flags. That was a quick interpretation. Again, if you want to take anything away, maybe it's the fact that as the advanced decliners open close to that 1,500 on a gap up, generally speaking, it's very difficult for the market to come down and fill that gap all the way, especially if these don't immediately start rotating lower towards that zero line, indicating that a number of things on the New York Stock Exchange themselves are actually trading lower through the open from a positive close. So that's going to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed it today or learned anything new, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.